actions.
I could be considered dangerous, yes. I smile because it's funny that all the people in there have no idea who they're messing with.
Enter 19-year-old Christopher Gribble, who's in a New Hampshire court for multiple charges, including murder. On October 4th, 2009, Gribble conspired with 17-year-old Stephen Spader, Quinn Glover, and William Marks, and invaded the house of 42-year-old Kimberly Gates.
Kimberly Gates, a devoted mother and wife, a nurse.
The woman was asleep with her 11-year-old daughter, Jamie, when the teenagers attacked them several times with a machete and fled.
Kimberly's scream woke her up, and Christopher went straight for her.
The attackers ran to the home of their friend, 18-year-old Autumn Savoy, whom they had planned to act as their alibi in case detectives came knocking. Unfortunately, Kimberly didn't survive. But unknown to the attackers, Jamie, who was gravely wounded, was conscious enough to call 911. Detectives swung into action. Savoy couldn't maintain his alibi, so the teenagers were arrested. In court, the prosecution detailed the level of violence the teenagers carried out.
And this is what the defendant used against both of his victims. Break in and kill whoever was inside. For fun, for kicks.
The responding officer also testified to the kind of carnage he witnessed at the scene.
I saw a young girl laying on the floor. I observed that she was completely covered in blood from her head to her toe. I observed that she had major injuries and major trauma, to include lacerations to her face, extremities, as well as I observed that part of her foot was missing. I got close to her. I told her that I was a police officer, I was there to help. She then said in a whisper while shaking that she thought her mommy was dead.
Quinn Glover also took the stand. He revealed that Gribble and Spader were the masterminds, and they were the ones that carried out the attack.
Referring to Mr. Spader, do you see him here in the courtroom?
I do, sir.
Please point him out and identify an article of clothes that he's wearing.
To the right of the table, in the blue suit, he talked about eating people, roasting people, putting heads on stakes, making scenes for the press.
He apologized for his role in the violence.
But every morsel of food that I eat, every breath of air that I take, every beat of my heart, I think of what we have done. I know that there is nothing that I can do that will ever atone for my terrible actions.
William Marks also testified to his role in the crime.
You stood in that doorway and you watched them both attack those people, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you once, just once, try and stop them?
No.
Did you try and help
No.
him or Jamie once?
No.
At his sentencing, the judge reserved some words for him.
You planned and you watched and you celebrated the unspeakable horrors that you inflicted on an innocent mother and child. Just because you testified against your co-defendants and we call that cooperation does not mean that there is any redemption for you here today.
Marks was sentenced to 30 to 60 years, while Glover will spend 20 to 40 years in prison. But that wasn't all. When Gribble was questioned after their arrest, he readily confessed to what he did.
Steve and I are very similar. Steve and Spader. Both of us grew up with problems in our families. Technically, we're both sociopaths. He said, yeah, we're just going to go in there, grab some stuff. If anybody's there, we're going to kill them, have some fun. I agreed. The mom sat up in the bed, started asking who was there, what was going on, tried to turn on the lamp and it didn't turn on. Yep. And when she did that, Steve started hacking at the bed with the machete. I was controlled, but I didn't really feel much of anything. I thought I would, but I didn't. The mom was obviously not going to make it. The girl I was pretty sure wasn't going to. She was completely out there. There was blood all over the place.
But during his trial, he tried to use the insanity plea.
When were you legally insane?
When was I legally insane? Well, I think technically I'm legally insane now is what my defense is. That I am...
Right now?
Yes.
You're a careful criminal, right?
Yes.
You're saying you're legally insane.
I'm saying as my defense, yes.
Do you not believe in your defense?
I do believe in my defense.
So you're saying you were legally insane?
Yes.
He also claimed to have been abused as a kid.
I'd get to the point at night where I just really wanted to sneak in my dad's bedroom and pull the gun out and shoot myself in the head, because I just wanted it to end.
Gribble did everything to absolve himself of the crime. He pointed to Spader as the brains behind the attack.
At some point, Steve said, finish him off. He threw a pillow onto the mom's face because she was still making like kind of burbling, not really breathing, but like raspy burbling noises.
He shocked the court when he described the events that happened.
The only thought that really entered my mind at that point was, wow, this looks just like a CSI scene. Because it was. I mean, it was just like something that they would have in a CSI episode. And I stabbed her once or twice in the chest. Then somehow she started to pull away from me. I remember sometime during that she said something like, why are you doing this?
But the prosecution was not moved.
You're a dangerous guy, right?
I could be considered dangerous, yes.
People in the jail have no idea how dangerous you are.
No, they don't. I smile because it's funny that all the people in there have no idea who they're messing with.
They may not, but you'd agree the Cates family certainly knows how dangerous you are, right?
Well, yes.
You made sure of that, right?
They needed to prove that he was mentally competent, so they called his therapist to the stand. She noted that although Gribble was sick, he wasn't insane.
I was informed that he had thoughts of wanting to kill his parents.
Gribble had undergone psychological testing a few years back, and the prosecutors brought the psychologist to testify.
What treatment would be recommended?
Long-term psychotherapy, especially when I found out that he had expressed homicidal ideation.
Tell me about that, how you found out that he had homicidal ideation.
Well, after I finished the evaluation, she invited me in she was very concerned. He expressed significant homicidal ideation, which I was not aware of, and that raised my concern about his dangerousness.
Gribble's mother also testified about the homicidal ideation.
At some point along the line in Chris's seeing Dr. Tallarico, she called us and said she wanted to meet briefly with both of us. We came in and she said, I need to talk with you about a number of issues that have come up during counseling. She said that there had been an issue of what she called inappropriate touching with somebody at church. And I said, what does that mean? She said somebody touched him inappropriately. I said, did someone molest my child? And she said, no, it was just inappropriate touching. Somebody put their arm around him. And I said, okay. And she said, and also you need to know he's made death threats against both of you. And we said, is it serious? And she said, no, I think it's just, you know, how teenagers say, oh, I wish you were dead, and he's blowing off steam and he's not a danger to anyone. It's not a problem.
So was that the first time you found out about that?
That was the first time I found out about it.
And at least what you were told, it didn't sound serious.
No, and she said, I have to tell you legally, I have requirements when there have been death threats made. I have to tell you and inform you. She said, but in my opinion, there's no issue there at all. He's not a danger to himself or to you.
After some deliberations, the jury found him guilty, but before he was sentenced, the father and husband of the victims, who had been away on a business trip at the time of the crime, addressed the court.
Through these accounts, I have heard my wife's last breath. I have listened to my child's screams. I have watched as Jamie's perfect little body was mutilated and tortured. During the last moments of her life, the thought of her daughter dying next to her was more than she could bear.
The judge sentenced Gribble to life, but not without giving him a piece of her mind.
I'm not going to go into the bottomless aggravating factors that exist in this case, but I believe the record will thoroughly support my belief that infinity is not enough jail time for you. Accordingly, you are sentenced on the remaining convictions to the maximum penalty allowed by law to be served consecutively.
Autumn Savoy, the alibi connoisseur, was charged with conspiracy and was sentenced to 5 to 12 years. He was paroled in 2015. 11-year-old Jamie went on to make a full recovery.
Just living every day like it's the last, right?
Christopher Gribble and his gang are still serving their sentence in prison. However, this wasn't the only time kids did something crazy.
This is him. I was straddled on top of him like